So this year, just a bit, this year has been so difficult. So I've lost probably two of the people closest to me with the same disease, which is pancreatic cancer. So Dan Bolton was my age, one of my absolute best friends, was a sales director in the business, incredibly close to Dan, and tragically lost him in January. Just devastating for Dan, devastating for his family, devastating for the company. Such an amazing guy. And then always been incredibly close to my dad. My dad was so fit, so healthy, 69 years old. This summer in June, he was 22nd of June, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and 6 weeks later he was no longer with us. So to go from super healthy to no longer with us in that short a time period, and I thought my dad was completely bulletproof. I thought he'd be catching lobsters in his little boat with his dog for another 20 years to come, and it was just so difficult. I was with him the whole of that 6 weeks every single day, and just watching him kind of go downhill each day a little bit more was just, it was incredibly tough. And I think the kind of most darkly stoic thing that my dad did, it was a week before he passed away. He had an incredibly difficult Friday, and the Saturday morning he was a bit more buoyant. I got there on the Saturday morning, my cousin was there, my auntie was there, and he wanted to put a calendar on his wall with dead or alive on it, and would each place a £10 bet as to which day he would pass away. That was like a week before he died. And he said, James, if I'd been taking bets yesterday, I would have made a fortune.
What was the last thing your old man said to you?
So last thing my old man said to me, and he was at that time like on a lot of drugs and on a lot of morphine. So my dad was a skipper, a captain in the North Atlantic all of his life. He told me that he didn't think he would like to be skipper of a hospital, which doesn't make that much sense. It's not like this kind of deeply meaningful, kind of profound life lesson or anything.
Well, that's why I think it actually is. Yeah. I actually think that's exactly why it is meaningful and profound, because it's that, as I said, all these fucking hooty, fluty, wanky, stoic faces you get from Marcus Aurelius, But it is that, you know, and it is something uniquely Scottish. And I interviewed James Cosmo, you know, who's in Braveheart. The guy who's like, hello, do you remember me? That guy, the worst Scottish accent ever. But he said something happens when you go over the border in Scotland, and there's a sort of a dark mysticism and stoicism to it. And I think it's so integral to the brand, but almost linking it to your old man of saying, look, I'd be a rich man if we betted on the days we'd died. How have you dealt with it in the last few weeks? Because it's been quite recent.
It's just been really tough. So yeah, just so close to my dad, and like sometimes I forget. So like sometimes I like pick up my phone to like phone him. I'm like, oh my god, it's like I can't phone him. Like I was at the harbour and I was like looking for him in his boat, and I forget like almost every single night since he passed away. I've dreamt about him. Like a couple of nights ago, I dreamt that I was out with him in his lobster fishing boat and knew he was going to pass away. And he knew that me and my daughters was going out in the boat the next day. So he had these little Ziploc bags, and he was hiding gifts in the lobster pots for my daughters that they were going to find when they kind of hauled up the lobster pots. So yeah, it's just really tough. And I think it's something that so many of us can relate to. Like so many people have lost a parent, have lost a loved one. It's part of this kind of crazy, beautiful, tragic journey that we're on called life. But I think key thing for me is just like I miss him so much, and I miss Dan so much, and it feels so odd to have lost like probably the two men who were closest to me in the space of 6 months to the same disease. And it was such a head fuck because Dan spent a lot of the time in a hospital in London, and then my dad was in the same hospital 2 doors down from the room that I used to sit with Dan, with the same doctors, the same consultants, just 6 months after. So that kind of really really messed with my head as well. And yeah, I just miss him so much, and just really sad that he's no longer here. And like so much of who I am is like came from my dad. My dad was an amazing captain. So much of my approach to life, to leadership comes from my dad. So like I am at least 20, 30, if not 40% my dad. So the scary thing as well is like who am I now that person, that massive influence is like no longer here? Like what is success going to feel like? Because like with success, the thing that I was most excited to do was tell my dad. When something good happened in my life, the thing that I was most excited to do was like tell my dad about it. And if you take that away, it's just this void. It's definitely challenging.
I'm so sorry about your loss, and appreciate you being open, because I think it will help a lot of people. And I think, you know, what would you, how, he talks about him being the captain, literally of a fishing ship. And I think, you know, we are literally part of our parents, like fucking literally. And actually, I think a brand is an extension of the father. Of the owner.
100%.
How would you say some of the lessons from your dad came from your old man through you, and then into the brand that, you know, the kind of little moments we're sat in Waterloo now? Like, what are some of those bits that are in the brand, do you think?
Well, look behind you, hold fast, good shaped doodags. So like my dad's like on the wall, like 2 feet behind your head. He would always,
some of his
my dad, hold fast, James, hold fast. Like if anything was difficult in the boat, like hold fast, what my dad always said, like hold fast. It's like a kind of a little nod of the head. So was what he told me. And like such a work ethic. So I work a lot. Like that work ethic 100% comes from my dad. And my dad was a amazingly effective leader. So whatever he was involved in, he always took the lead and did it in a kind of compassionate, humorous way. And he was a leader who led by example. He would be in the middle of the people fixing the net, fixing it as fast as he could. He'd be in the middle of the people moving the box to fish. He'd be so that was like his leadership style. He loved work and he loved what he did, loved his family. And I think that work ethic that I have like comes 100% from my dad.
Espressos is sponsored by supply chain software gurus Unleashed. It talks to your e-com and accounting software. It's helped islands cut admin time in half, get granular clarity on your margins, know where your stock is, don't miss availability. Brands like Candy Kittens, Tiny Rebel and Trip all use Unleashed, and so should you.